on Rogers TV.
Kids these days, people say we lack initiative.
And technology, that we're all addicted.
Kids these days, we hear that we only care about ourselves. Apparently, we're lazy.
And don't seem to have any sense of independence.
Actually, kids these days are facing a lot. Because the world has changed, and so have our health issues. Kids these days, we could really use your help. Join CHIO in our biggest fundraising campaign ever to transform pediatric care.
This week on Canada Files, former Supreme Court Justice Rosalie Abella, who was born in a refugee camp after the Second World War and made a remarkable journey to the highest court in Canada.
You're watching Rogers TV.
Hey, welcome to Daytime Ottawa here on Rogers TV. Great show ahead. We're doing a little yoga on the show today. David Kern from the Ottawa School of Art on the show. We're going to talk about a fantastic haunted experience courtesy of 1D Studios. But we start here in the kitchen with Paula Roy, host of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods that you can watch right here on Rogers TV. And we're talking a couple of different things today. First of all, how's your summer been?
Amazing. In my mind, it is still summer.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's been incredible.
It has been.
I think this is like the nicest summer I can remember. I know we had a lot of rain, but it felt like monsoon rain.
Yeah.
And then cleared up and beautiful weather, right?
And if you love local food, the farmers are happy.
Oh,
They're
wow.
still, last night, 2 nights ago, they had a little bit of frost, but they were ready for it. It's not one of those surprise September frosts that catches them off guard. So
yeah, and this is the harvest time, right? And that's what we're talking about today. Some of these things that are still local and delicious. What are we talking about with Paula today on the show?
Well, first up, let's talk tomatoes.
All right.
If you drive by a farmer's market any time this week or even into next week, you're going to still see big, beautiful baskets of tomatoes. And a lot of people love to get the whole big bushel, and then they get home and they think, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with this? So I have a couple ideas.
Right okay.
First off, I want to show you how easy it is to freeze Roma or plum tomatoes. Now, they're the preferred cooking tomato because they've got really good flesh and not as many seeds.
Right.
And they tend to be less watery. So that as opposed to the slicing tomatoes, they call them, these are the ones you want to preserve in various forms. Okay. So you can see I got a plate of them there, and I got a Ziploc bag. So all I did with those was wash them and dry them. That's it. Okay. I have not taken a knife to them. They're still intact. You're going to put them in that Ziploc bag.
That's it?
And that is it. That's all you need to do.
You just throw them in the freezer?
Yeah.
Like this?
That's all. It's fantastic. So there's no excuse, right? If you've got that bushel, take half of it and freeze it right away. Pressure's off.
Okay.
So then, what are you going to do with your frozen tomatoes? You can pull out 1, 2, 3, 4 at a time. I pulled these out just when I got here to the studio. They were frozen. And you can see how easy it is to just slip the skin right off. I mean, it's coming off with my thumb.
Yeah, you're not
So you just peel it right off so it's easier than trying to blanch and peel a tomato before you freeze it.
Right.
And the other advantage is they're really sturdy once they're frozen. I mean, these are like they're bullets.
Yeah.
So they're not going to get damaged. I don't know if you paw through the freezer like my husband does.
I do.
Looking for the item that's on the very top. Anyway, so there you go. So how easy is that? And then you just chop it up and you can add it to your soup, your stew, your pasta sauce, whatever it is.
So yeah, and this wouldn't be like you wouldn't do this with sliced tomatoes, would you?
Like the sandwich tomatoes.
Yeah, because if you thawed them, they're
going to be a
so
watery
liquid.
mess. That's right. Yeah. So the plums or the Romas are the ones that this is ideal for. Now, speaking of plums and Romas, I grew little baby Romas this year for the first time, and that was really fun. How cute are they?
I know. I couldn't believe they were Romas.
Yeah, they're oval. They've kind of lost their shape. These were roasted for about 2.5 hours on low heat with just a little garlic olive oil on them, and you can eat them as is. I'll invite you to taste that, or freeze them in layers, or make a big batch of them, especially with the big Romas, and puree them, and you got a fantastic pasta sauce, pizza sauce.
Wow.
You can add hot red pepper flakes if you want to kick. I did put truffle salt on there because I knew that you were going to taste them.
That is so good. And
Flavor
the sweetness that comes out because you've roasted them.
And scatter those on a chicken dish. Put them on a salad. So many things you can do with them.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I just absolutely love doing trays and trays of these, and it's a set it and forget it thing. Just, put them in the oven and come back a couple hours later. It's easy peasy. So a lot of people like to make tomato sauce, pasta sauce, as I mentioned, and I don't have the confidence to just process my jars and put them on the shelf. Tomatoes, because of their acidity, it can be really tricky to have them safe. And there is not a drop of Italian blood in my family, so I don't have the secret recipe. So I have to do it the way mere mortals do. All hail the Italians for their sauce. So I made this sauce, and I've put it in this jar for a reason. You'll notice that the sides are straight.
Yeah,
so I can
this
freeze
up to
that.
Kevin's camera here.
And this jar, they call this a shouldered jar because you can see the curve. If you freeze soup, anything fairly liquidy, sauce in this jar, guarantee it's going to crack.
What?
Because of the pressure of the narrow top, right? It's trying to expand, and there's just no room for it to go. And so it cracks right along here, or sometimes the bottom will blow out.
So this is more of a pickling jar.
That's right.
Right? And
Jam
this
and
would be your freezing
That's right.
jar.
So always go for the straight ones, and it doesn't matter what size. It can be the little tiny ones. It can be really big ones, but just go for the straight sides.
And did you just crush these and put in, or did you add anything to it?
I have a juicer, and so I put a whole bunch of plum tomatoes through the juicer. Just cut them in half, and then the juicer takes some of the seeds out, most of the seeds out actually. So I just have pure unadulterated tomatoes there, and then they're ready to go in. Instead of buying canned tomato sauce, I've got this ready to go.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Great idea.
So another tip about tomatoes is a lot of people notice that they are acidic, and I find people will throw in maple syrup or honey or sugar to try and counteract that.
Right.
No way, man. Baking soda is your friend. So I keep a shaker of baking soda in the kitchen, and any tomato-based thing that I'm cooking, I know. This was actually a tip from an Italian person.
Okay.
And so just a shake, like, I don't know, 1/8 of a teaspoon for a pot this size, more obviously for a bigger pot.
Right.
And it neutralizes the acidity. The tomatoes taste just smooth. Like, it's so interesting.
Really?
So we'll have you taste this tomato zucchini soup as a case in point. And this soup freezes so beautifully. So I just took some plum tomatoes out of the freezer yesterday, grated a zucchini.
Okay.
And it's got a bit of onion, a bit of garlic, basil, oregano, the most basic
and then your
soup.
secret.
And the secret ingredient.
Okay.
And yeah, all my pasta sauces, anything that the tomatoes are cooked.
Oh my goodness, that's good.
It's a great soup. And so I make big batches of it, freeze it in sort of one-person size containers, and it's kind of our winter go-to.
And I've got to do more of that, right? Everybody, and you know I love to cook, and everybody always complains, I don't have time, and if you do this, it's ready to go.
Yeah.
Right? Like at any time. You just want something, and we're moving into fall, although still beautiful weather out there. Comfort foods. And soup is, I think, and stews, #1 comfort food.
But I do think the mistake people make is they get excited, they make the big batch because, it's only a little bit more effort, but then they freeze it in huge containers. And it's like, oh, I'm not going to open that for just me and Monica because we're going to be eating that all week. So definitely go for the smaller containers. And like dollar stores have great containers that if they're fresh, they haven't degraded yet. I wouldn't reuse the same yogurt container for 10 years because they talk about how the plastics break down. And it's also great for gifting. I am the soup lady in my neighborhood, right? Someone's not feeling well. Run to the freezer. Here, have some soup. Yeah, I'll throw it at them from a distance to avoid their germs, but yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing I say is label things, right? When you put them in, you think you know what it is, and then you take it out of the freezer. You go, I don't remember. What is this? Right?
Yeah.
Just put it like a piece of tape and. Write down something.
But masking tape comes unstuck in the freezer, so I usually put a piece of paper and then packing tape and stick it on.
Smart.
And then it stays for sure. My sister takes it next level. She's got a grease pencil and she writes on it, so it's not going anywhere until she scrubs it off with a little baking soda.
Baking soda. I love it. We've got 2 segments with you. What are we going to talk about in segment number 2?
The other round red fruit, because we know tomatoes are a fruit.
Yes.
So apples. And again, it's prime time for apples. People may have missed the chance to go to the orchards and pick. I know they're all pretty much picked clean now, and they had a great season apparently, but there's still plenty of apples available, and I have a fun set of ideas of things we can do with those.
Well, and I see you've brought some of your kitchen gadgets, and if you want to know what you need in your kitchen, you need to watch Paula's show. You need to follow her on social media because she has the most incredible. You've opened my eyes to some things that I didn't think I needed, and as soon as you told me about them, I realized I needed them. So we'll be back with Paula Roy. She is the host of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods right here on Rogers TV. We'll be back right after this. Don't go anywhere. This.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Kids these days, people say we lack initiative.
And technology that we're all addicted.
Kids these days, we hear that we only care about ourselves. Apparently, we're lazy.
And don't seem to have any sense of independence.
Actually, kids these days are facing a lot because the world has changed, and so have our health issues. Kids these days, we could really use your help. Join CHIO in our biggest fundraising campaign ever to transform pediatric care.
Hey everybody, my name is Karen. I'm here with my best friends Shane and Monique. Join us on Rogers TV for Fitness Faction. Every week we're going to take you through a full body workout. We've got strength training, we've got cardio, we've got HIIT. Ladies, let's get back into it.
I think we've got 10 more skaters. Let's go.
On Rogers TV. Are you a content creator looking to expand your audience and make your voice heard in your community? Rogers TV wants to provide you with a platform to share your hobbies, interests, and stories for free. Visit us to find out more.
Welcome back. We are back with Paula Roy, host of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods here on Rogers TV, and we're talking about that other red fruit, as Paula said. We talked tomatoes. Now we're talking apples because we have so many local apples. Actually, on tomorrow's show, as a matter of fact, our friend Debbie Trenholm's coming on the show, and we're talking Ontario ciders.
And not all ciders are apple, but some of the best ones are.
Some of the best ones are.
Yeah.
Let's talk apples. You brought a few different varieties with you here,
two
right?
of my faves. This one is a Gala or Gala, and it's considered a softer apple. Like a Macintosh is pretty hard.
Right.
So this is a softer texture, and it's got a little bit of tartness, but more sweetness than the Cortlands, which are the other apples I have here. So you can see this has a shape more like a Delicious at the bottom,
right,
or an Empire apple, and then the Cortlands have more of a Mac shape.
Yeah.
But these are my two favorites. One of the reasons I love them is that when you cut into them, they don't go brown really quickly.
Okay.
So if you're going to cut them up for a cheese board or scatter them in a salad, they're not going to just look like brown awfulness when they've been sitting for an hour.
Send the kids to school, right, with some as well, right?
And it hasn't caught on as much in Canada. In the U.S. in grocery stores, they sell apparently thousands of packages of cut apples, if you can imagine.
Really?
The little snowflakes can't take an apple to school. It's got it, yeah.
How lazy are we? We can't even cut our own apples.
I know. Anyway, I brought whole apples because that's how I buy them.
Yeah, I like it.
So lots of people obviously think about apples for desserts, for sweet things, for baking, but they're so good in savory things too, and obviously lots of nutrition. So we're going to assemble a little kale salad here, and as you mentioned, a lot of people, it's a poor misunderstood vegetable.
It is.
Kale.
I said this during the break. I said to Paula, I'm so glad you brought kale because people don't like the texture. I don't think it's the flavor, right? It's the texture, and they find it kind of gritty.
Yes.
Right?
So obviously, got to rinse it well. It may look clean, but it's almost got a stickiness to the leaves, and so if there's bits of dirt from the garden, it's going to be stuck on there.
Okay.
And then what you do, especially with the big leaves. Now this is baby kale that I just picked yesterday in my own garden.
Nice.
But the big leaves, you hold on to the stem end and you pull your hands up it, and it just basically strips the good edible part off the coarse stem.
Right.
And if you were my grandmother, you would then boil up the stems and save that water and add it to soup or something, but we don't have to go that far.
I like that, yeah.
Yeah, potato peelings got saved and boiled up, everything, like no waste. So The other tip is that you can't just drizzle the dressing on and say, here you go, here's your salad.
Right.
You have to massage the kale leaves.
Gotta massage your kale,
It sounds
people.
weird, but at one hand, you don't have to get right in there with both hands unless it's a really big bowl.
Right.
I usually put on about half the dressing I think I'm going to need, and then as I'm massaging, you can see the leaves get glossy and they get darker, and that's when you know that it's thoroughly massaged, and then I'll wait and add just a bit more dressing when I go to serve it.
So you just do it with the dressing itself, because what I've been doing is I massage it with olive oil and then do the dressing, but I like that idea. Just saves you a step.
Go straight
just
to the
do
dressing,
it all.
that's right.
Yeah, okay.
So this particular one is an apple cider vinaigrette because I'm putting apples in. I've got some cheddar for you to scatter on.
All right.
And the other thing people whine about these days is cutting apples. Oh, cutting it in half and delicately cutting the core out. So I'm like, fine, don't. Just go around the core with your knife like this, 4 simple cuts. And then you hand this over to the toddler in your life and they'll chew on that for an hour.
Or
it's
your
perfect.
dog. My Jack Russell loves the cores of apples.
Yeah, as long as there's no seeds for them.
Yes.
And that's, how quick is that to just cut up this apple? So I'll get you to scatter the cheddar on top of the kale.
You got it.
And we've got our chopped apple to go on top.
Nice.
And again, just like we talked about with the soup, you don't have to make a mixing bowl size salad. I'll make a salad like this for my lunch. It takes 5 minutes to make.
Yeah.
And it's delicious. And then the mess is gone.
Oh, I get to do the sample.
Of course you do. We want to see kale stuck in your teeth. That's the goal today.
Yeah, you saved me though, right?
Of course.
You'll tell me if there's some in there,
I'll
right?
just
For the
hold
next
this up
segment.
and people won't see. There we go. So yeah, good crunch with the
Really
apple. The smoothness of the cheese kind of balances the kale. Kale does have a bit of bitterness, but I like that about it.
Yeah, I do
in
too.
a way that broccoli does, and so on, and even spinach. So
well, and it goes so well too, right? You've got the sharpness of the cheddar and then the sweetness of the apple, and it's a perfect
it just
combo.
balances it out. So and the other thing that I love about kale is because it's so sturdy, it's great for packing, say, in a picnic lunch or work lunch, because it's not going to go all limp like regular lettuce would, romaine or iceberg or anything like that. So this will still be just fantastic at lunchtime, even if you packed it first thing in the morning.
Nice.
All right, so another savory preparation. This is an apple squash soup.
Okay.
And I do make just gallons of this. This is one of my family's favorite soups. My daughter in high school, when she just couldn't face breakfast because she was so tired and, just the whole teenager thing, this is what she would take in a thermos, like a sippy mug.
Okay.
And she would sip at the beginning of the school day on this soup, and she said, I just felt like I was eased into my day perfectly.
Nice.
And you can get carried away with lots of fun toppings. I sometimes do toasted coconut on this soup. It's delicious.
That is fantastic.
So I roast cubed butternut squash and apples and onions in the oven, and then they go into a pot with some vegetable broth or chicken broth, whatever you like, and cook them just till they're really soft. Puree it, add a bit of cream. I think I put cardamom and salt and pepper in this one.
So good.
Yeah, just simple.
Fantastic.
Okay, so apple pie. Everybody loves a good apple pie.
Course.
So my mom taught me years ago that you can slice and freeze apples for pies or baking of any kind. You could cube them, whatever you want, and then you just pull out what you need. So she would even measure the amount needed for a pie, and that would be in the bag.
That is smart,
And of course, always had pastry pre-rolled in the freezer, so she could pull out a pie shell, pull out the apples, ready to go. And they're not so great for eating because they do get a little bit mushy, but you want them to get mushy when you bake them.
Yeah. So it's already ready to go.
So again, if you bought the bushel at the market and you're having buyer's remorse, get busy chopping.
Nice. I see you've brought some of your favorite products along with you here too, right?
This is an apple peeler, and you just stick the apple on the end. I won't do it now because it's going to make a mess. And then there's a razor blade here, and so you just turn the handle, and it peels the whole apple. And this is a great way to get kids involved, as long as they know not to get their fingers in the razor blade.
We've got the KitchenAid that has the attachment for that, which is fantastic.
So this was, I think I paid $5 for it 40 years ago. I kid you not.
Really?
I use it every year. They sell a fancy cast iron one at Lee Valley. It's great.
Yeah.
But I would struggle with the cost of that for how much I use it. And then these apple slicers are great. So it cores and slices all in one fell swoop. And then I would typically take the slices and cut them in half because they're quite broad, as you can see. Also great for slicing potatoes for home fries.
Oh, nice.
Now, last but not least, this is a breakfast sweet, I call it. They're apple crisp squares. So taking traditional apple crisp topping, pressing it into the pan, then apples that have been mixed with a little butter and cinnamon and sugar and lemon juice.
ConstantlyCooking.com for all of the recipes that you see and much, much more. We'll be back with David Kern from the Ottawa School of Art right after this.
Oh, hey. Wait, what was the question?
Let me guess. One driving high combo, extra baked?
No. Could I get a burger with a side of fries?
Think you're a better driver when you're high? Think again. Smoking weed affects reaction time and concentration. A message from Mad Canada.
Welcome to Community News and Events on Rogers TV. I'm Ramon DeFranco. Do you have a budding hockey player in the family? If you do, then why not take in the Nepean Raiders Junior A game at the Nepean Sportsplex? The Nepean Raiders Junior A Hockey Club continues their season in October with games against the Brockville Braves, the Navan Grads, and the Renfrew Wolves. The Sportsplex has 3 ice rinks with the Raiders playing on Rink 1, better known as the Steve Eisman Arena, named after the former Nepean Raider great. Puck drop for each of these games is at 2:30 p.m. every Sunday in October. Tickets are just $8 for students and seniors, $5 for kids 6 to 12, while kids 5 and under can get in for free. Watch Kiwanis TV Bingo Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV 22.
You're invited to join us for the next hour to give. We're going to feature Youth Ottawa. We're going to tell you all about the 21 Under 21 Awards happening October 24th.
Hi, I'm Sam LaPrade, host of Ottawa Business Matters. We're going to gather here every single week and speak about business here in the capital. We're going to inspire, influence, and inform.
Always exciting things happening at the Ottawa School of Art, and not only just, at the Ottawa School of Art, but for my next guest personally as well, because he's got another brand new book coming out very shortly. November 16th is the big book launch. Here to tell us more about that and what's happening at the school, David Kern back here on the show. How are you, David?
Hey, it's just great to be back here, Derek. Yeah,
I love having you, because there's no one that I've met, and I've been doing this a long time, that's more enthusiastic about art than you are. And there's so many benefits, and I think we're often intimidated by it. And I wanted, for viewers that, have not been introduced to you, I think that's kind of your philosophy, right? Is don't be intimidated and just go out and do it.
Oh, totally. I mean, it's a tangible thing, right? You just and nothing bad's going to happen if you sort of play around with any kind of medium, do anything creative. It's just all good news, right? I mean, right. I'm a painter, but that's only just one branch of creativity, if you like, right? But it's a do it thing, right? Yeah. And the great things happen once you actually start doing art, right? If you start thinking about it, it kind of balks, right? So you gotta get out there and do something. Right? A
great summer at the Ottawa School of Art. Moving into fall, I imagine there's new workshops. So what exciting things are coming up?
Actually, it's great. I mean, the courses have started, right? Okay. So that's running, right? But there's lots of short courses and workshops. They're all on the website, and there's masses, and it's like really diverse, right? There's photography, there's painting, there's drawing, figure drawing, there's even reusing old clothes, holiday art for the holidays, right?
Nice.
Yeah, and I've got a couple of workshops
jewelry
too.
making, things like that too, sculpting. And so forth. There's just everything. What have you got? And I've got 2 workshops with my wife France. We're running 2 workshops. One at the end of October, which is on Impressionism, and it's a painting workshop, but we're kind of themed on the Impressionist era. And then in November we've got one on our great Tom Thompson and Emily Carr, and again how modernism took hold in Canada, and doing some painting too as well. I just want to emphasize they're not kind of theoretical workshops; they're painting fun events. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that. It's not that the theory's not fun, for some, but no. My thing is getting inspired by people who have done it. Right. So we use some of the lessons that they can teach us,
and just be inspired by their great images to create things ourselves, right?
Right.
In fact, we'll perhaps do a little bit of that
well,
today
let's do a little
as well.
painting today. Yeah. So what are we going to be doing? Because you've got this. So I'm guessing
so
we're
ready.
We're
ready
again.
to go. Yeah.
Okay.
So the thing is, I thought we'd do something with acrylic today, right?
Okay.
So it's a very popular painting medium, right? And we all get our canvases from the store. Here they are, right?
Yeah.
And they're pristine white. Right.
Right.
So what we tend to do, a lot of folks, right, is just start painting, right?
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but I would argue there's a better way, or a way to try, right?
Okay.
And the thing is, what I always do is I always put some kind of tone on my canvas first, right? So all my work has got that kind of something behind it, right?
And what's the purpose of that?
Well, the thing, it's essentially a free brush. It gives you something that you can't get from a white canvas.
Right.
And I didn't make this up, because of course before white canvases were white, canvases were all sorts of colors, and people, made their own, right? And even if they got them from someone, they weren't as pristine as white as we've got, right? So going back in time, painters were more used to this, but the idea of starting with a little bit of a base painting is always really, really useful to get an image to form. So that's what I thought we'd do. So I've got this, right? So I've already put a bit of paint on this canvas, and I've formed a little image, right? And some folks might recognize that what we've got here is I just put a couple of marks in here, right? Right. What we got is the idea of Tom Thompson's West Wind. Right. There are lots of so just bringing the thing to life with all the foliage that was there. Right. So
what is this style? What would this be called, David?
I would call it. Post-impressionism, really. I mean, all the group of 7 painters, you would really say, they followed the lead of Impressionists. And actually, Tom Thompson, sort of a little earlier in his career, did some work which was really quite Impressionist, right? There's a lot of what they call Art Deco in as well. So they were following some of the prevalent styles of the day,
right?
But they painted Canada, right? That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
And they were the first group of painters to actually sort of treat that as something, like really serious to paint about, right? So
well, and what's amazing too is when you see these paintings and then you are out in nature, right? And maybe you're camping or you're at a cottage or you're visiting a friend, and wherever you are in nature, all of a sudden you start seeing exactly what they've been painting, right?
Yeah.
And you get this wonderful image in your mind.
Yeah.
My wife and I see it all the time. It's incredible.
That's totally.
Right?
Actually, I'm on one of my little trails, right? There's a spot where it looks just like one of Tom Thompson's painting, and I'm just waiting for the trees to fall a little bit and take a photo of that. But we'll see.
And do you often just paint using a photo, or sometimes it's just an image in your mind?
Myself, what I like to do is to get out and do some painting in nature, right? So actually, this is one of my paintings here, right? Just so you see that. I've started the same way with a base here, right?
Yeah,
And so I will develop a painting like this, and then maybe interpret it in the studio a little bit later. Right. So
okay, we're going to take a quick break. Yeah. David is back for another segment, so you stay tuned because we're going to talk a little bit more about Tom Thompson and tell you about a wonderful book he and his wife France have created. We'll be back with that right after this. Don't worry.
Kids these days, people say we lack initiative.
And technology, that we're all addicted.
Kids these days, we hear that we only care about ourselves. Apparently, we're lazy.
And don't seem to have any sense of independence.
Actually, kids these days are facing a lot because the world has changed, and so have our health issues. Kids these days, we could really use your help. Join CHIO in our biggest fundraising campaign ever to transform pediatric care.
With Rogers TV, you can cheer on the home team from the comfort of your living room. We'll head to the rink, the field, the court, or the pitch, so you don't have to. Tune in and cheer on your local amateur athletes on Rogers TV.
Join us for Season 4 of Simply Cooking by Chef, Sunday nights at 8 o'clock, right here on Rogers TV.
Blast you.
Public transit, garbage pickup, parks and recreation programs, snow removal on your street. How can you stay informed about these and other important local services? Tune to City Council coverage on Rogers TV. See your community leaders at work on Rogers TV City Council coverage.
This week on Canada Files, former Supreme Court Justice Rosalie Abella, who was born in a refugee camp after the Second World War and made a remarkable journey to the highest court in Canada.
Welcome back. I have never thought of myself as artistic at all when it comes to painting or drawing, and this is how much confidence David Kern has in me, and that whenever he comes on the show, he's like, "I'll get you involved." So you're gonna walk me through a little something. So what am I going to add to this painting?
Just a few minutes to do the whole thing, right? So we'll see where we get. So so what I thought I'd do is get you to put the water in, right, with this kind of grayish paint, right? There we go.
And is there any technique I should be?
I just generally keep your brush moving to the sideways, but put plenty of paint on just to use it on the side. That's the idea. That's exactly what we're doing, right? All right. And while you're doing that,
and obviously going in between, right?
That's right. So the way it's set up with the base here, right? That we got a little bit of a tone. I put the main image in. It makes it a little bit more tricky to put this in.
Yes.
Right, because you can't just put your brush back and forward over it as if you'd started that way. But you can see it already looks like water, doesn't it? Already, right? That's right. So just
I feel pretty good about this so far.
Right. So as well as that, right? If I look in the painting, look, he's used the same colour in the sky for these gloomy clouds. So let's do that too. Let's just put some in the sky, right?
All right.
And and the clouds tend to have sort of some white in above them, right? So I'll put some of that in as well, right? So
this is great.
It just.
So for people that aren't familiar with Tom Thomson, you and your wife have written this brand new, wonderful book. Why Tom Thomson in particular? You know, there's a lot of artists, as you just discussed, that are within that era. What stood out to you about Tom Thomson?
Well, it's funny, when I first came to Canada and I was in Montreal looking at the Montreal Museum of Fine Arts, right? You know, I think Tom Thomson's work stood out.
Okay.
And France, from her experience going to the National Gallery as school, you know, found inspiration with Tom Thomson too. So we found we had Tom Thomson in common.
Okay.
And so throughout our experience in the arts and the workshops that we've been running, we've done like over 150 workshops together, right?
Right.
We've themed them on master painters, and Tom Thomson has been at the core of that, right? So our book is you know, he was a natural great for us to look at, right? And the book's about our conversations about his paintings, right?
Oh, really?
So it's an interaction between the two of us is at the core of that.
Right.
I've put some history in. I've put some things about the art movements of the time, and there's and some anecdotes. But the core of the book is our conversations about his work, right? Which is wonderful.
I love that idea.
Yeah. So it's called Creative Surge 3 Winters with Tom Thompson.
Yeah, and there's the book cover right there.
Yeah,
right
that's the publicity. I actually,
that's the publicity.
That's the publicity. I actually have our first draft.
Oh, nice.
Not unbound, but the general look and feel will be like this, with
nice.
With sort of some extensive sort of paintings and also our conversations.
Nice. And that book launch is coming up November the 14th, right?
November the 14th at the Ottawa School of Art. And the Ottawa School of Art are sponsoring the book as well. I should
wonderful.
mention that,
And new exhibitions coming up downtown and in Orleans, is that right?
Yeah, there's 2 wonderful exhibitions coming up. There's one, Rosalie Faville, she's a Manitoba, Métis background, and it's a very personal exhibition, mixed media, quite delightful and engaging and thought-provoking.
Nice.
And she's a really well-known Canadian artist, right?
Right.
And then in Orleans, there's an exhibition by Mayuko Ona-Gray, who's an American Japanese artist.
Okay.
That's done these massive charcoals, you know, looking at different aspects of the Western and Eastern culture. And I tell you, both of these exhibitions are spectacularly stunning.
Nice.
You know, they're really thought-provoking and interesting too. But you know, the art is spectacular.
Can't wait
visually.
to see them. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
shall we try to
just
add a little bit more to this? What do you want to do?
It's always great. It's always great to put a little bit of colour on, right? So I've got, so there is quite a bit of blue in the sky there. So I've got some blue there for you, Derek. And while you're doing that, I will just, I'll put a few red accents on as well, right? And yeah.
Right.
So it's actually, that blue kind of swings its way down. If you look at how he tackled it, right? It just kind of comes down.
Oh,
so just bring it.
Yeah.
In fact, at this stage, what I tend to do is just try and cover up a little bit of the base.
Okay.
But not all.
So
right?
So a couple of times I've sort of hit some green there by mistake.
That's okay, because you can just go back in and I can just go back in and fix it afterwards, right? But the great thing of doing this kind of thing, right, is that I'll just add a little bit more paint so we got the idea there, right? You can see I'm almost using the same color, you know, just to fill in a little bit where things are going, right? Because as you start filling in, but still seeing that background, you know, it's not, what it does is the background actually holds it all together, because it acts like a little bit of a matrix, right?
And then, I guess for the water, then that's when you start adding sort of these little light highlights, right?
So once we got the water in, right, we can start putting some little wavelets in as well, right? And Tom Thompson did this when his
look at that.
Right. So with a
just running out of time here, Dan. I just want to remind everybody at home, davidkern.com/Tom Thompson. You can find out more about the book. That book launches November the 14th. And, of course, artottawa.ca for all the workshops, everything that they have to offer. It's an incredible experience. We'll be back with more right after this.
This is a perfectly healthy child. What's unhealthy are birth alerts, a racist practice that may stop this Indigenous mother from going home with her newborn. Become an ally. Rise above racism in healthcare.
Welcome to Community News and Events. I'm your host, Candace Knights. As summer comes to a close, Ottawa Tourism releases its 2024 Economic Impact Study, highlighting the city's tourism industry post-pandemic. The study reveals that Ottawa attracts 9.8 million visitors annually, generating $2.6 billion in spending. The visitor economy supports over 35,000 jobs and contributes nearly $2,000 in government services per household. From Victoria Day to Labor Day, hotel demand increased by 4% compared to last year, showing positive momentum towards surpassing pre-pandemic levels. New air routes by Air Canada and Porter Airlines, as well as return-to-office mandates, have boosted tourism. The summer also introduced 2 new visitor attraction passes, one geared towards family experiences and the other focused on museums. Those passes are available at visitottawapasses.ca.
Learn all about the creation of the National Capital Region on The History of Ottawa, according to Phil Jenkins, on Rogers TV.
You're watching an interesting local show on Rogers TV and you want to know more. That's when you head to rogerstv.com. Our website provides more information about our programs, our hosts, our schedule, and about how you too can get involved with Rogers TV. Visit us online at rogerstv.com.
Welcome back to the show. Changing gears, talking yoga. And I was saying to that my wife got me into yoga, and it really has changed my life. Honestly, and there's so many different kinds. Today, Pranashanti and Susan Anderson, a yoga instructor. Welcome to you both.
Thanks.
Great to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
Just celebrated an anniversary, as I understand.
16, the big 16.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations. How was your summer at Pranashanti?
Oh, it was so good. We had a lot of different trainings that happened. So we had one of our like faster paced 200-hour trainings. So that gets done over the course of 2 months. We had a lot of workshops going on, kind of catered towards the summer and movement, and then just our regular classes. So Wonderful. It's been a really good summer. Yeah.
Anything special coming up as you move into fall? Do you change things
yes.
up? Okay.
We have lots of workshops coming up, as well as we've kind of changed our class schedule a bit. So you can see that all at pranashanti.com, but we have like 2 or 3 sound baths a month. We have like a women's healing circle coming up.
Nice.
We have a lot to look forward to, and then a lot of holiday promotions and stuff to start happening in November, December.
All right, we'll get you back to talk about those. But Susan, I want you to introduce me to Soma Yoga. Tell me a little bit about this style.
Well, the word soma itself comes from the Greek language, and it means whole body.
Okay.
You might be more familiar with the word somatic. We often hear the word somatic. And really what that means is a little bit of a different approach to healing.
Okay.
Where we work with releasing what I would call really deeply held patterns of tension in your body that can come to pass over time just with, I call it life experience, stress, trauma.
Right.
You mentioned being a curler, for instance, and I has asked how your hips are. So we know that a lot of people can hold stress, for instance, in their hips.
Right.
And holding stress in your hips might cause you to walk a little differently. So it changes what would have been a natural pattern of movement to something that becomes habitual and maybe unbalanced or imbalanced. Or stress held in the neck, for instance, is not uncommon as well. So it's a different focus.
Yeah, and it makes sense too, because if something sort of happens, you may not even realize it, and then you compensate, right?
Yeah. And you don't know you're compensating.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So, well, let's do a demonstration. Let's show everybody at home. Like, is this good for somebody that wants to be introduced to yoga, or is it more advanced? How would you describe it?
I think one thing I would qualify is say that, and what I often say when I begin every class is that some of the movements that we're going to be doing might look like a more traditional yoga movement or yoga pose. There will be other shapes and forms and movements that we will do that you might think, that is not yoga.
Okay.
So it doesn't look as typically like a typical yoga pose.
Okay.
So biggest difference, I would say, we're going to be moving quite slowly, smaller movements, We're going to repeat a few times. We're going to contract and release certain groups of muscles, because what we're doing is re-educating muscle and brain connection to hopefully get rid of those poorer habits and re-educate and get back to more natural, healthier habits.
All right, well, let's do it.
Yeah.
You ready, Carmen?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Because last time you and I, boy, they
We were
put us,
sweating.
oh my goodness, put us through some yoga. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought I would start with the neck, and we
Okay.
could stand up instead of
Sure.
sitting down, because as I mentioned, neck is often where we can hold some tension. So we often coordinate, Derek, just to give you a heads up, maybe Carmen will know this, with the movement of the breath.
Okay.
So breath and body. So what we'll do, just do your best to, give a little shake.
Okay.
I'm a little bit of a shaker. I like to wiggle out a little bit and relax, and just take a moment to notice your body. And that's another really big difference with Soma Yoga, is the focus is on tuning inward and noticing sensation, feeling your body from the inside out. We don't always focus that way in typical yoga classes, but that's some part of this approach.
Okay.
So to move through the next thing I'd like you to do is, as you inhale, just pull your shoulders up towards your ears as high as you can, and then exhale and lower. And inhale, reaching up, and exhale, lower. And one more time. Inhale, squeezing up towards the ears, exhaling and lowering. Okay? So you could, if you want, you can give a little wiggle.
Okay.
And then we're gonna move another way. Okay, so let's take a breath in, and as we exhale, let's drop the left ear over to the left shoulder, but we're gonna raise the left shoulder up to the ear. So the shoulder comes up and the ear goes down, okay? So we a little squeeze, and then we'll release. Head comes back up to center. And then we're gonna exhale. Head goes the opposite way, and we're gonna bring the shoulder up and the ear down, and let go. We'll do it one more time each side. Squeezing and letting go. And last time, this other side, squeezing and letting go.
Oh, that feels good.
Let's do a couple of shoulder circles, okay? So we'll start with a back direction. So just lift up, squeeze your shoulder blades together, and back and down. Do that a couple of times, nice and slow. Yeah, cracking. You might feel some, I call it snap, crackle, pop sounds. And then go the other direction. So a little bit forward. Nice and slow. And notice what you feel as you're moving. And then let's come to stillness, maybe wiggle it off a little bit.
Oh,
and
we
then
got 1 minute left, just to give you a heads up. Yeah.
And then I'm just gonna let you just take a moment to notice.
Okay.
Feel both sides of your neck. What do they feel like? Do you feel heat? Do you feel tingly? Do you feel relaxed and easeful? Just things to reflect on. Do you want to come down onto the mat now?
Yeah,
and we'll,
absolutely.
Carmen, I'm just going to ask if I can trade with you so Derek can see me a little.
Trade away.
Let's all go on. Let's face, if it works for you, Derek, we're going to face this way. Sorry that I'm going to have my back to you,
That's
but
all right.
then you can see more easily. And I've just brought these little cushions to put under our head.
Oh,
we're going to stack our legs. We're going to bend at the knees. Bring your knees up so they're sort of the same level as your hips.
Okay.
You're going to keep your feet together, and as you inhale, you're going to lift the top knee. So the knees separate.
As we're doing this, going to break, just want to tell everyone, visit Pranashani's website, by the way. All of the schedule is up there and the workshops, and they'll be back in a month to tell you about what else is coming up as we get closer to the holidays. We'll be back with more right after this.
Kids these days, people say we lack initiative.
And technology, that we're all addicted.
Kids these days, we hear that we only care about ourselves. Apparently, we're lazy.
And don't seem to have any sense of independence.
Actually, kids these days are facing a lot because the world has changed, and so have our health issues. Kids these days, we could really use your help. Join CHIO in our biggest fundraising campaign ever to transform pediatric care.
It's a new season of The New Fly Fisher on Rogers TV.
When I was diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome, I was deteriorating in front of everybody.
All my life, I lived with sickle cell. I went through a tragic crisis that put me in a coma for 3 weeks. While I was in there, I received a lot of blood to put me in a healthier state.
I was given the plasma then through IVIG. Even though that happened so long ago, it still has a massive impact on me today.
Thanks to donors, I can live another life.
Because of you, I will be seeing my grandchild.
On Rogers TV.
Are you a content creator looking to expand your audience and make your voice heard in your community? Rogers TV wants to provide you with a platform to share your hobbies, interests, and stories for free. Visit us to find out more.
Hey, welcome back to the show. The haunting season is upon us. Some great opportunities in and around the Ottawa area. We're going to tell you about, though, a very unique experience, probably unlike you've ever experienced before, and it is called Behind the Screams Haunted House. It's being put on by 1D Studios. Here to tell us more about it, I'm joined by Shane Boucher and Lisa Soper. Welcome. Great to have you both here. Shane, yeah, you and I were just talking that you've been on the show in the past, and we talked about 1D Studios, but for those that aren't familiar, tell us a little bit about 1D.
So 1D Studios, we all call it 1D now that the band's broken up.
Right.
It's a local film production house, and we do everything from movies of the week to feature films to television series. We have one shooting right now, and we've been in Ottawa for about 7 years now. Producing as much as we can, trying to build the film industry here.
Yeah, and what's it been like? Like, how would you describe the film industry in Ottawa these days?
It's definitely been steadily increasing. Obviously, everyone was affected last year because of the strikes and whatnot, but we were able to weather that pretty well and bring still a consistent amount of production to the city.
Excellent. Oh, I think we have an audio situation.
It's not on.
Oh, we don't have Shane's on. Okay, well, just bring in the handheld. Just bring in the handheld, yeah. Lisa, we'll go over to you while they figure out. Let's talk about this particular experience. How would you describe it to people at home?
For Behind the Screams.
Yeah.
It's what I like about it, and I think what was really intriguing when Shane asked me to come on board to help with the design, is that we all love movies. Right?
Oh yeah.
And there's a magic to what's behind the scenes, how it's all put together and everything like that, and also haunted houses are fun. So we wanted to take that and kind of merge it together into the same kind of environment and experience. A lot of haunted houses are really dark, you can't see anything, you're feeling around, there's loud noises, there's air, you get scared.
Right.
But we wanted to give a little bit more. We wanted to give the feeling of being in a studio set, in a film set. So there's a big theme, atomic retro, 1950s, you go in and you're going through an actual storyline and following through to try to survive.
So, okay, so walk me through this then, Shane. So I arrive, and am I part of a story? Is there a storyline here?
You yourself are part of the story in the sense of, our main protagonist, a production assistant, kind of had an error on set and accidentally broke a prop. And in trying to find a new one, he discovers a hidden section of the studio beneath, a well beneath the studio. Okay. And he finds a mask in the well, and he puts it on. And his alter ego, the demonic Andy, is born. And from that point, he's kind of taken over and possesses the rest of the film crew. And now he wants more. He needs more souls. He needs more victims, let's just say, to come. So he's been putting himself out there trying to get Ottawa to come to this film studio so that you can be part, of Andy's film set.
I'm going to ask you to hand that to Lisa because it sounds like we have an issue with both microphones. So my apologies. Welcome to technology. So Lisa, it's set in a particular era as well. Tell me about that era and how you've managed to, get that feel.
Yeah, it's set in a atomic retro, so for people that aren't aware of what that is, 1950s basically,
right.
Style movie set. Because, let's face it, we all like nostalgia. We all like going back in time and seeing what things were, whether it was from our childhood or whether it was from before we were born. So we just wanted something that was signature to what it is. So it's a bizarro world when you walk in there. So there's no cell phones or anything like that that's kicking around in there. Everything is pretty much more or less set to this theme and this tone, and you've got really great wallpapers and textures and different environments that try to immerse you as much as possible into the experience.
So Shane, is it, Shane, is it then a mix of sort of digital but do you have like a cast that's a part of this as well? So real people and video and all of this is sort of put together?
It's a complete experience. We do have live actors and we do have special effects. You know, we try to lend ourselves to the film industry, so there's a lot of interesting stuff that happens as you venture through the haunted house for sure.
What has the feedback been like so far?
Everyone's loved it, and we really wanted to make sure that the detail was there, and I think that's what everyone is loving, is that it's not just dark and scary. There's actually detail throughout the entire something for you to look at, you know, before the jump scare gets.
And you've got some different nights, Lisa. Let's talk about those. Like one night that caught my eye. Well, there are a couple, but chicken nights. What exactly does that refer to?
Well, it doesn't pertain to you because you're coming to extreme, right?
Oh, okay. Yes, of course. I would go extreme. Yeah.
Chicken nights we put together because a lot of kids love Halloween. They love the concept of it. They love trick or treating, but they can't watch horror movies or going to haunted houses because they're too much for the kids. This, for the chicken hours that we have, what we're able to do is have families come in and children really enjoy it. So everything's a little bit brighter, a little bit happier. There's no big jump scares that come out. You know, any of the gore and all that is kind of, it's all tucked away for the moment. And there's lots of little surprises for the kids. We had a 3-year-old come in yesterday and he had the time of his life.
Nice.
He got to scare his dad.
Awesome.
And then there's our regular hours, which is what you would expect regular scares to be like, and Extreme is where we just ramp it up a little bit more, and there's quite a few more surprises for the ones that are a little bit more daring.
Interesting. So Shane, when you say extreme, like you're talking the blood and guts and gore and all of that, is that fair to say?
It's a little bit. There's definitely, that's with the regular as well. We're also just talking, we target people a little bit more. This isn't your conga line haunted house. You're going through, you kind of have a unique experience where you go through with your group. It's very rare that you'd catch up with another group, so we really just, we target you a little bit more.
I love it. And yeah, exactly. And you do groups as well. So if you have a group, I mean, this would be a great thing to do with your office or get your family and friends together. It's running until November the 3rd. It's at 2935 Conroy Road. 1dbts.com to find out more information. We'll be back with more right after this.
You're invited to join us for the next Hour to Give. We're going to feature Youth Ottawa. We're going to tell you all about the 21 Under 21 Awards happening October 24th. Hi, I'm Sam LaPrade, host of Ottawa Business Matters. We're going to gather here every single week and speak about business here in the capital. We're going to inspire, influence, and inform.
With Rogers TV, you can cheer on the home team from the comfort of your living room. We'll head to the rink, the field, the court, or the pitch, so you don't have to. Tune in and cheer on your local amateur athletes on Rogers TV.
Join us for Season 4 of Simply Cooking by Chef, Sunday nights at 8 o'clock, right here on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to the show. To wrap things up, I just want to remind you, by the way, if you've missed one of our episodes and you're like, oh my goodness, I missed yesterday's episode, don't worry. All of our episodes go up on the Rogers TV YouTube channel. If you go on there and you don't see it right away, don't worry. You can just scroll down because all of our shows go up there. So, or I should say many of our shows go up there. So again, the Rogers TV YouTube channel to find out more. Paula Roy, some of the recipes, of course, that she shared today, you can always find them and many, many more at constantlycooking.com. A reminder that the book launch for this fabulous book that David Kern and his wife France have done, it's called Creative Surge, 3 Winters with Tom Thompson. That's happening November the 14th at the Ottawa School of Art. You can find out more information on the website. And Behind the Screams Haunted House at 1D Studios, that is running until November the 3rd. And go online as well, because as they said, they have those chicken nights. So if you have some younger kids and they want to get involved and have something fun, again, an incredibly unique experience running until November the 3rd. 1dbts.com to find out that entire schedule. And if you have a show idea, feel free to reach out to me, and we'll see you next time here on Daytime.